So you're a musician and you're about to become a parent. Get ready for a surprise. Hello, Mike Bradley. Hope you are doing very well as always. Let's talk serious stuff. There's so much so I'm bringing the arms down on my new chair here. Let's talk some serious stuff. I've been wanting to do a video about being a musician and becoming a parent. In my case, becoming a father. Pretty much since my little boy was born. And he turns 2. Well, I want to post this for tomorrow. So if you're watching this live, 2nd of October, my little boy will be 2 years old tomorrow. Or today, when you're watching this. And, 2 years down the line, I've learnt a lot and made a lot of mistakes and also, gained a lot. And when I've been out doing gigs or had a few little musician nights out with fellow musos I know, I have been asked a lot by my fellow peers, how you been getting on? Or, some of them are about to become mothers and fathers. How's it been for you? What advice? All this kind of stuff, And I thought, well, if they're asking, then there's other people out there in the same boat. So let's do a YouTube video and let's talk about it, because it's a big, big thing. If you're a musician or not, first of all, if you're watching this and you're about to become a parent, yes, it is very scary and all that kind of thing, but you know what? A huge congratulations, because I've been saying this now for 2 years. It is the most amazing, wonderful, greatest, hardest thing you will ever do in your life. It really is. It's amazing, magical, beautiful, incredible, and the hardest thing in the world you'll ever do. Now, I was going to write a script, and I started writing a few things down, and I didn't like it, and I thought I just want to talk to you, as if we were in a pub or something and just chatting. That is what I wanted to do. Obviously, it's a one-way chat, but hopefully this will help, and I want it just to kind of roll off. Before I do go properly into it, I just want to say this is my experience of it. Everybody's different, all right? And also, I'm a bloke, so this is it coming as a father. For the mummies out there, if there's ever any, the whole who's the strongest sex or that kind of stuff, after seeing what my wife went through and understanding what women go through in childbirth, there is no doubt whatsoever that women are the strongest sex. There is no way a guy would go through the stuff. It is nuts. And then throw in there, obviously when the bubbers are here, the breastfeed and all that kind of stuff, when they got to be breastfed, kind of every 2 or 3 hours, and during the day and the night. So this is it coming from a guy's perspective. I just want to quickly get, especially in this day and age, I want to just say that this is my experience as my own person, and also from a guy, But I will say, and rightly so, women get so much more. There's so much stuff out there for the girls, and they go. My God, they go through so much, and I'm here for the women. But maybe blokes don't talk about it as much. You know what I mean? And sometimes, we get some weird stuff going on up there. So I don't want to go too deep into that. But well, maybe I will. Let's see what happens. But yeah, just want to get that out there. My first tip 1, if you will, all right? is, and this is going to sound strange as the first thing, but don't take all the advice. And what I mean by that, and this isn't even to do about being a musician actually at the moment. This is just becoming a new parent, and I think it's important because there is so much stuff out there. You can read online, you can read the books. I'm sure you've done that, and talking to other friends. If you in the UK we call it NCT classes, where you basically try and learn how to become a parent. To be honest, it all goes over your head. But the main thing, you're meeting new friends. That's what's great about it. But the mums will talk and the dads will talk, that kind of stuff. And there's so much advice, and it can get very overwhelming. And no two babies are the same, really. It's not like they're all coming on conveyor belts, and they're going to do this, they're going to do that. So certainly, listen to some people, but kind of as the weeks and the months go on, you will find what works best for you. And if it works best for you, that's the best way for you. Just because, Eric and Joan down the road are doing, this works for them, and it's like, all right, no, by all means, give it a go. But if it doesn't work for you, doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. That just doesn't work for you. You know what I mean? So do what works best for you and find what's best for you guys and stick with it. You know what I mean? And there will be a lot of experimentation, a lot of, trials and errors and things like that. But, everyone's got an opinion. And, you're watching this and I'm giving, I don't want to say my opinions. This is how it's worked for me. But I think the most important, the first thing to take, if you take anything, don't take everyone's opinion. You know what I mean? Just do what works best for you, and it all just start going naturally. I mean, our Harry, it got to the point where, after, from 6 months old or something, we'll just let him cry for if it goes over half an hour, something's wrong. But letting himself settle is an important thing. And you don't, every time they make a noise, of course, in the very early days, you will be, but you'll start to realise you don't need to go run into them when they do little cries. This is more 6 months down the line. Even I'm forgetting, the first 6 months they're in your room. And it's nuts. And, I can still remember, it's probably about 3 a.m, and Harry, my little boy's called Harry, and he woke up and I was changing his nappy and I was half asleep, and I haven't got the greatest eyesight. I wear contact lenses, and of course I'm half asleep, and I'm changing his nappy and I was like, what the hell is this string doing here? I could see this thing hanging down, it seemed, from the ceiling. And then I kind of realised he's just pissing up in the air and it's going on that. So, shit happens, man. Literally, sometimes as well. But, So that's my first thing, take away the whole musician thing. By all means, listen to what people's advice is, but don't take all the advice. Now, being a musician and being a father, being a mother, being a parent. Now, I guess you can look at it as thankfully, I don't know, but my wife is not a musician. No, she has a real job. I don't have a real job. And if you've been following me for a while, obviously I do stuff online, but I am a session guy. I work in studios. I do a lot of live gigs, be it with other artists or corporate gigs, function gigs, whatever, an Eagles tribute band, I play with everyone and anyone to a point, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of times I'm away, and that's where it can get a little bit tough, because, you know, you're away from the roost, you're away from home, and, you know, for me, you know, I'll be worrying about my lady, about Laura, my wife. I'll be worried about the baba, and feeling guilty that I'm not at home. And, you know, I've got, no, we got a camera over the crib, and it's on our phones, and you know, I'll check into a hotel. No, I might have driven 5-6 hours, done the gig, then got to the hotel. I get there at 2 a.m. So, you know, I'm pretty fried myself. And then sometimes it'll be a beautiful night back at home, but then I might get a text from my wife, and, oh, you know, not having a great time, and then I can see on the camera he's crying or whatever, and or she's had to go in there and things, and you know, you just feel, I did, and, you know, would feel absolutely awful and guilty that I'm not there. But, you know, I would have to remind myself, you know, I'm not out having a jolly good time with, you know, obviously, you know, it's great getting to be a musician for a living, but it's hard work. It is, you know, and your brain never stops, ever. And then throwing the worry of what's going on back home on top of everything else, this is, you know. So yeah, that guilt thing kicks in. And I think the big thing is communication, and be able to talk to your partner, and, you know, that's a huge thing, is that overall communication. And, you know, I remember she would say to me, like, you've got to stop worrying, Mike. And I know it's easier said than done, you know. And then I've said this to her, so it's fine, you know. I would be away, and then she would text me saying, you know, she would have I remember a couple of times she'd had some really bad nights, bless her, when I wasn't there. And, you know, she'd be like, I'm just done. I'm done with this, you know. And I'd be like, what do you mean you're just done, you know? And then I start like, what, do you want me to stop doing my career, you know? And then that goes in, and, you know, it's just doubt, and, you know, you and then, of course, then I can't sleep when I'm away. And you come home, and then you've got to, you know, help the, you know, be a parent again. And you're going back, and of course, people are like, oh, you get to go away, you get to stay a night in a hotel. It's like, no, I haven't slept, though. Because I've been worrying about, you know, my lady and my boy. And then he might have another bad night, and you're both there, and rightly so, you want to start, I want her to try and catch up on some sleep now, so I'll do it. But then you're already beat up from the nights before with the really late night. It's just, you know, mentally and physically, it's exhausting. But the big thing is talking to your partner. That is the biggest thing. And, you know, both of you saying when, you know, sometimes it's hard to admit you need help, you know, and or you know, what can I do to help? Because, you know, you might bottle things up and things like that. So that's the key thing, you know, and it is a big test, I think, on a relationship. You know, that first year and a bit, really. You know, we're at a point now where, you know, like I say, we're 2 years, 2 years to the day. I remember exactly what was happening this time 2 years ago. And, you know, we're at a point where the communication's really strong with us now, which is fantastic. And don't get me wrong, you know, I mean, last week we had 2 or 3 nights of him being up at 3 a.m, you know, and I was doing them, actually, because he is a bit of a daddy's boy. So I'd go in and I'd just sit with him, you know, and then he gives me this smile. It's like, you little shit, you're fine. You know what I mean? So, you know, I mean, God, I can really sum up this video now, really, in just that communication. You know, it's so vital. Because you haven't got that, you just, you know, that's where the bickering comes in and all that jazz, you know. And also I think, you know, again, this is work for us. We've never been the couple like, if I've come back and I've been, God knows where I've been, sometimes in another country, I've never got back through the door and then she's gone to me, right, your turn, and go. She's never done that. Likewise, she has a full-time job and, you know, she'll leave the house at 6 in the morning, get back about 7:30 at night. I've never gone, your turn. You know, you can't do that. There can't be, oh, I did this, so you got to do that. Or I've done that, so you got, there can't be any of that. It's got to be, you know, sometimes you got to take more than them, and sometimes they'll be taking more than you. It can't be, I've done that, you know, a tally mark of all the things. That's got to go out the window. You know, you're a team. And you'll be now a team of 3 as well. But I like to call the boy the lodger, what doesn't pay. That's what I call him. You know what I mean? We're a team, but we got one team member what doesn't really put his weight and likes you to be, you know, serve him hand and foot and all that kind of stuff. But no, that it can't be any of that. You know, it's got to be, sometimes you got to pick up the pace, sometimes they have to pick up the pace, and thank each other. But it gets the point, if it's just a known thing. But there you go. That's another tip I would say, is don't, you know, start trying to what's the best way of describing it? You know, point scoring. There can't be any of that, because again, the big thing about being a good parent is being a good team together, you and your partner. That is so important, you know. And if you can be a good team together, it will come so much more natural, you know. Not even so much more natural. It'll just, you can just beat through it together. You can beat the dragons, as Christian Bale said. If we stick together, we can beat the dragons. Rain of Fire reference that was. Now another thing, so what we've got here, tip 1, don't take advice. Basically, or you know, don't take all advice. The second one, the guilt thing, what I went on, and all that. Team. Another tip I'm going to give you, what's that, 4? Number 4, to be a YouTuber. Time management. And I should say, this is something what I'm still struggling with 2 years down the road, and I can see myself for the foreseeable. Sorry, my speech impediment coming out there. Time management. When your little one gets to 1, you know, you got a year. Well, not even that. It's hard to remember, but you know, if being a musician, we don't have regular working hours, you know. Now, like I said, I do session things, so that's just evenings when you got gigs and stuff. But during the day, I might have to go to a studio, or I've got a studio at my home, and I might have someone come round, or I might, you know, someone ask me to record on their track, and you know, it needs to be in 48 hours, or you know, I'm teaching or doing courses. I've got a course on my website. Come up there. Or doing YouTube video, whatever. It's hard to juggle time when you got a baba. Now, at the beginning, you know, that first year or so, my wife was on maternity leave, so that was a little bit easier because I could go and do stuff, and then I could come back and give her a break. I would take over, things like that, you know. But then when she went back to work and then I'm working, that's when it gets tricky, you know. and it's trying to time manage your life, you know, and, you know, Google Calendar and, okay, you know, I mean, a couple months ago, I was out in Switzerland for 9 days. So then we had to go through, right, okay, he goes to nursery Wednesday to Friday, Monday to Tuesday, right, you can do this, right. My mum will have him, but my mum lives 40 minutes away. Her mum lives an hour and 40 minutes away. Right, who can we get here? You know, juggle things around. You know, she's got to go to Geneva for work for a few days in the next week or week after. You know, so then we're doing that. It's like, okay, I've got that. Okay, who's going to look after him? Blah, blah. So, and then when you do get time, it's like, okay, right, Thursday, you got all the time in your world or whatever day, right? What I find hard is like, I'm not really in the headspace to do anything right now. Or if I want to start recording or do some of my own writing or do a YouTube video, I'm like, I don't know, I'm not really in the right frame of mind to do it, you know. And then you take a little moment, and then for a little moment, you know, 2 hours has gone by. It's like, okay, now it's 12 o'clock. And, okay, right, okay, I'll do this, you know. Then it's 1 o'clock. Before you know it, the day's gone. So that's what I mean by time management. Now, like for today, for example, it's been a grueling 2 months for us here in Bradley Towers. It has been so, every day has been something for both of us, and I really mean that. For me, I haven't had a day off for a long time, and even if I've got a day off, my wife will be in the office, so I'm with Harry, and it's full on dad, because he's at that age where he is, and now he's a toddler, so you can't leave him alone. Especially my boy. I mean, he is barking mad. You know, he loves, you know, chase, throwing everywhere. You know, he's nuts. So, you know, it's full on, and you know, you get. I might have to beat this out. You get tired, man. It's grueling. It is grueling. I'll beat that out. So I've lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, time management, right? We've had our grueling 2 months, and then today, I took Harry to nursery at 8 this morning. My wife's had to go into London to the office. She had to go in, so I've had the whole day to myself, right? But you come back, you have something to eat, blah, blah, just like we all do, you know. And then I had a phone call, I had to take some calls, and then, you know, and then in my head I was like, I want to do some online content today. I'll let it go. And it's like, okay, dropped off at 8. I've got to pick him up, before 6, right? That's load of time. But then when you do that, okay, the phone call. Then my dad turned up, and I'm talking to him, blah, blah, you know. It's now 1:36 in the afternoon, right? I know next time I look at the clock, it's going to be 5. It's going to be 5, you know, and I've got some teaching later as well. You know what I mean? Like, that's when time management is really hard to stick to, when other things come in, but it's like, oh, okay, and then I do like, my phone will go, and I'll be like, oh, I haven't spoke to him for ages. It might not even be a business thing. It might be, you know, a mate phoning me up for a catch up and that. I'm like, well, that's half an hour. I know it's going to be half an hour, and it's like, and I've found that once midday comes, the morning's all right. Once it gets to midday, the day disappears. Next thing I know, I'm going to be having the boy in the bath time. I'm going to be soaked because splashing everywhere. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you know, and then get him to bed, and it's going to be 7:30, 8:45, 8 o'clock. You know, do something, have something for dinner, and then it's 9, and then it's like, now before becoming a parent, none of that shit would have bothered me. You know what I mean? Regarding time, it's like, oh, I just work till 9 o'clock. I'll just do stuff. You know, it's fine. You know, or I would always do that. I'd be in here, or be in whatever teaching room or my music room was, you know, 10:30 at night. So what? You know, that doesn't happen as much anymore. So time, I don't know if this is a tip, I don't, this is just verbal diarrhea of stuff now, you know, and, but time management is a big thing. I'm trying my best. It's very hard. Time management is very hard, but it's something to strongly consider for when you become a parent. Right, another tip. And this, oh God, if I summed it all up, I mean, goodness gracious me, a long video as it is. So I think this should be it. But I'm going to say, and the most important thing, enjoy every moment. Because as I say, man, it's truly like just magical, you know. And you know the stuff people are like, oh, you know, the first time I saw my child, you know, instant love, and you're like, yeah, whatever. I can see him now, you know, being held up, and well, the first thing I said was, he looks just like my dad. That was the first thing. But I remember cutting, the umbilical cord and all that, and just staring at him. Actually, I'll put some pictures up, right? And just instantly being in love with him, you know. And I'll say this, I don't care. I often say to people, you know, I've, you know, a very happily married man, but I had a good single years as, you know, and, you know, did stuff what single guys do, you know. I've always loved women, right? I'll say it. Biggest irony, my greatest love is my boy. It's a boy. For someone who loves women, my greatest love is a boy, and my boy, and he's great, and you know, it's just absolutely amazing. And you know where we're at with him now, you know, he's talking. He's not talking. He's, you know, apple, bubbles, and oh no. But he'll say oh no in a northern accent. He'll be like, oh no. He would do that. But he's now saying daddy, and I'll share this actually. I'll end with this because, you know, when he started saying it, and I thought, oh, I wish Laura could see this, you know, or even show my mum. And I just happened to put my phone up, and I did it again. I went, hi, Harry, and he just went, hi, daddy, and it is, you know, still watching it now. It's incredible, man. It's incredible. So, as I said, as I started this off with, it is the most amazing, beautiful, wonderful, magical thing, and the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life. And it's very easy to get bogged down by all the hard things, and you know, yes, you don't get much sleep, you know, and you know, especially those early days, you know, those first 6 months. You know, I remember going to teach at a school and I had 1 hour sleep, you know. Even thinking back to it now, you know, and you know, we are talking about maybe having a second one, and it's like, I'm like, oh, minute, we got to reset, we got to go back to all that stuff again, you know. But it does go quick, and I can't believe he's about to be 2, and I know I'll be saying, I can't believe he's about to be 3, he's about to be 5, he's about to be, you know, it really does go quick, and you kind of forget about it. A good mate of mine, sorry, my camera stopped. Yeah, a good mate of mine, him and his wife just had a new little baby, beautiful little baby. And we all went round another friend of mine place for a barbecue. Lovely, bank holiday weekend, end of August it was. And I think their little bubba was 2 weeks old. And I was like, oh my goodness, you forget how small they are. And also they had a muzzy. I thought, oh my, I forgot about the muzzies. And now I don't know what you would call them, but the little kind of fabric, it's a fabric, it's like a big handkerchief, if you will. But, you know, to stop the burping and coughing up milk. And I just forgot all about that. And at the time, it was everything. Where's the muzzy? Where's the muzzy? And yeah, so, you know, again, the point I'm trying to make is just how quick it goes. But enjoy it. Enjoy it. It's beautiful. And like I say, support each other. Talk to each other, you and your partner. having that communication really will sort you out. And like I say, and the whole musician thing, it took me a while to get over the kind of feeling guilty of being away. And even, Laura would say, my wife would say to me, stop it. You're beating yourself up for, I've got this. And then she said, look, do you want me to stop? I remember she said, do you want me to stop telling you I've had a bad night? And I said, can you tell me in the morning? And then she told me in the morning and I'd feel flipping awful. And then, and then he just stopped having bad nights, That was, probably, again, 4 or 5 months there, I mean, I wasn't away all the time. I don't want to make out I was, going, trust me. I did many nights as well, and and she'll be away or something like that, I'll be like, look, go and have a weekend with your friends or something, And that's another thing as well, if you are away a lot for your job, and then you've got a weekend, not even a weekend, a few days, and you can say, look, why don't you go and see your friend XYZ, stay at your parent, whatever, just to get you away, so you can't stock up on sleep, but it's nice just to have that, so yeah, I'll do that, and I would have a few days of stuff. Okay. No, as I've just said that, I've had a flashback. I don't know what happened, but I put him down, and again, we would let him, if he does start to cry, leave him half an hour or something like that. And he started crying. I was like, he doesn't usually cry. No, he's only been down like an hour or two or something. I don't know how old he was at that point. 10, 11 months, something like that. And I just looked on the camera and thought, what's that? And I ran upstairs, and he had been sick, and he was just sick all day. And I was like, oh my God, And here was me. I thought, I don't want to phone Laura up, but I could not find any. I just remember getting him in the bath, showering him off, blah, blah, changing pajamas, and I couldn't find, the bed sheet went on his crib mattress, And I was like, voice noted Laura, I was like, I'm so sorry to disturb you, but where's the bloody sheet? He's been sick, And then she's like, oh my God, do you want me to come back? I went, no, don't be silly. Just where's the sheet? And it was like some comedy sketch, you know what I mean? Again, very much laugh about it now. In the moment, you're like, ah! You know what I mean? Anyway, listen, congratulations if you're watching this. If you're just not about to be a parent, hopefully you found a little bit of humour in this as well. And I will sign off because this might be a long one. But thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting. Normal guitar service will resume. I know I haven't done much YouTube stuff really. I can talk about that if you want at another date. But yeah, I'll be getting more stuff out there. I might even do one later, another one. Anyway, lots of love. Mike Brady signing out. And congratulations again if you're just about to become a parent. Bye. And you'll get used to whispering as well. And walking like this. And you'll get used to where all the cracks are on the floorboards, So yeah, I'll say goodbye now. Hi, Harry. Hi.